All right, everybody. Welcome back to the next section of our sales course here, Close More Coatings. My name is Aaron Latman, and I'm going to be diving in really the weeds, that nitty-gritty of how to sell those leads. So now that you actually have all of your educational videos and your week at a glance videos and your vehicle showcase videos and those voiceovers, all those 5 different videos to build rapport and teach your prospects who you are, what you do. And when you start getting those first leads, what I want to do is I want to actually dive into how do you even talk to those leads and actually build that rapport and get to that close, get to selling them. Because listen, at the end of the day, what we're here to do is close more coatings, right? So we need to start from square one. We actually want to outline for you guys how to get from taking your first videos, getting those initial leads, and actually bringing them through the sales process and taking a deposit and closing them. Let's get started. So the first step to any sales process is building rapport. Now, building rapport is extremely beneficial when it comes to the later part of the sale, because you're actually going to take everything that you learn not only about your lead, your prospect, but also why they want the coating, why they're doing what they're doing, and what we want to find when we're actually building rapport. Now, building rapport is not just asking them questions like, how's your day going? What type of vehicle do you have? What color is it? How long do you plan on keeping the vehicle? Building rapport is a little bit on the in-depth side. You actually want to get into their head a little and see, why do they want a coating in the first place? Again, sales is solving a problem for your prospects. So when we're solving a problem, what problem are they having that we can solve? When it comes to coatings, one of the things is that they want exterior protection. They want protection from the tar, the tree sap, the bugs, all of that, oxidation. Sometimes people like easy maintenance, easy cleaning. A lot of clients of ours go to car shows. They actually want their vehicles to be super glossy and look really pretty all the time. So your DBM, finding out their dominant buying motive. Why are your leads actually wanting to buy in the first place? Why did they reach out? Is building rapport stage. Now, it's not just as simple as saying, hey, Johnny, how did you reach out? Why did you reach out to us? Johnny, why did you reach out to us? What in God's earth name made you want a ceramic coating? No. Building rapport is figuring out what their dominant buying motive is without them actually knowing that you're trying to figure out what their dominant buying motive is. Questions to ask to actually get that dominant buying motive. When someone calls you on the phone, you want to ask them, what pain points are you having with your vehicle that made you want a ceramic coating? What actually interested you in the ceramic coating process and actually getting your vehicle done by us? Did you watch a particular part of our video, or where did you initially hear about us to actually want a ceramic coating? When you give someone the option, you give your prospects the option, such as, well, Johnny, did you reach out because you want more gloss? Did you reach out because you want more protection? Did you want easy maintenance? Half the time the client is just going to say, all the above. But we actually want to get why. And if you can figure out why, you've cracked the code on the first part of the sales process. Now that you actually understand what building rapport is, let's actually try and see this in practice. So when you take out your phone, get a call coming in. Hey, Johnny, how's it going? Excellent. We're doing great today. You reached out to us, and I see that you filled out a form for a 2018 Ford F-150. Now, with that Ford F-150, may I ask a few questions? Do you have some time on the phone? When you're asking them if they have some time on the phone, the first part of the script is actually allowing them to say yes. Now, if they say yes later on in the conversation, they're not going to have the ability to say, oh, I don't have any time right now, I have to go, because they already said yes. So once you get that answer from them, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to ask them a question. Johnny, I noticed you filled out this form for this 2018 F-150, and what color is that by chance? They go, okay. So honestly, Johnny, I'm not quite sure that I can help you quite yet. With that being said, why did you reach out in the first place? And then they go over kind of their dominant buying motive, or they're going to kind of like ease into it a little bit. And they're feeling like, I don't want to tell this guy any information. So you want to open them up a little bit. Okay, yeah, I totally understand. Now, one of the coolest parts about our coding is XYZ. Is that something that would benefit you? Now, if they say yes, okay, great. If no, okay, what do you think could benefit you? Why do you want this coding? When I ask a client on the phone, what is their reasoning for getting a coding? It's very, very simple. Johnny, you reached out to us for one reason, and that's to get us started coding. But I want to make sure that we're a good fit for each other. So if I have a quick second, it only takes a few seconds to answer. What makes you actually want this coding in the first place? What will this coding do to benefit your life and enhance your life in the future? Asking the right questions is actually going to help you so much more than you actually could think about, because when you get their dominant buying motive, you're going to actually play on that when it comes later in the sale. So now that you have actually locked in their DBM, that dominant buying motive, what we're going to transition to is the presentation part of the script, and actually making sure that you're on the same page as the prospect of what is actually being done to their vehicle. A lot of prospects have some sort of very, very shallow knowledge when it comes to a paint correction and a decon wash and a ceramic coating. And if you can outline to your prospect everything that you do from start to finish, it's going to allow for a very easy sale and a very easy close with very minimal objections. At the end of the day, if you're on the same page as your prospect and they're on the same page as you, everything's going to flow like a 3-stage paint correction, buttery smooth. Now, when it comes to the presentation, you're going to want to spend roughly 10 to 20% of the entire phone call only on the presentation. A lot of people feel as though a sales process or a sales pitch is 90% the presentation and the product or the service that you're offering, and 10%, 5% on the building rapport, 5% on the actual close and objection handling and taking that money. Okay, that's complete opposite. You actually want to spend more time building rapport and actually explaining the price and the packages and actually understanding what they want and then taking that deposit, rather than spending the entire time on the presentation. Most of your prospects probably do not know anything about what you're doing, and you want to make it very concise and very shallow for them so that they can understand. Because the minute that you start explaining something on a detailer's thinking, on a detailer's mindset, your prospect, your lead is going to lose interest. So you start off with that decon wash. You're going to talk about how it cleanses the paint, how it cleans the pores, and how you basically want to make sure that their vehicle is as clean as possible before you put X amount of years of protection on. If I put years of protection on top of a dirty car, what's going to happen? And I like to always use storytelling when it comes to the sales process. Think about painting a wall. If you take a wall and you don't put primer on it, you just put paint, the paint's probably going to flake off of the wall eventually. Give it 2 to 3 years and boom, that paint's gone. But if you prime the wall and you clean the wall and you cleanse the wall with that primer, that paint's going to last a lifetime. I always like to use storytelling. The second part of the process is going to be the paint correction, making sure that they understand that you're going to remove as many swirls and scratches and oxidation and fading as possible, and that there's different levels to said paint correction. We have a different price for a polish, which is going to remove very minimal of your defects. As far as a multi-stage paint correction, where we're going to get 98 to 99% of those defects, and even into wet sanding and stuff of that nature. But you want to keep it on a very level playing field so that not only does your client understand you, but you can understand your client. Because when you're handling objections of, well, I'm not sure if my vehicle needs all this, well, to the detailer mindset, yes, the vehicle needs all this, but they don't know that. So to keep it on a level playing field to where they understand what you're trying to explain to them is going to make all the best for when you're actually trying to close that sale. Okay. Now, talking about paint correction, a very, very easy question to ask them is, when your vehicle is in the sun, do they notice a bunch of cobweb-looking marks and a bunch of circular swirls? Asking these questions makes them feel as though they need a paint correction and need their paint to be fixed. If they say that the vehicle is brand new, then we can opt for a polish, and when they come in person, we can actually go ahead and start to do an upsell process if they need more. You always want to make sure that you're listening to the client, because the client at the end of the day is always going to be right. However, in the detailer's mindset, we know that they probably need a 1 or 2 step on a 2020 when 5,000 miles on a brand new car, which is 2020. To us, that's 4 years old, and there could be scratches up the wazoo, but to them, it's brand new. Humor what they're saying, understand what they're saying, keep the presentation short, explain the different levels of paint correction. If they feel like they need a one-step paint correction, we can start off with a one-step. We get the deposit, close the sale the minute that they come in, or we go to them mobile. We can actually upsell from there. You never want to actually try and assume that the client knows what you're talking about. And you also never want to make it seem as though you know more than the client, because they're going to put their guard right back up. At the end of the day, we want our prospects to feel extremely comfortable with the entire process. We want them to know that what we're doing to their car is not going to harm their paint, harm their clear coat. Now, a side note on all this is that the paint correction process, when explaining it, is one of the easiest way to actually overwhelm your prospect. What that means is when you're giving all of the detailing jargon and you're going over all the different types of corrections and how many percentage of it's going to remove and going over the different types of swirls and scratches and clear coat and how deep it is, in that prospect's head, they've already gotten an absolute fire hose of information from you. And if you give them any more jargon, any more high-level words, high-level detailing and detailing anatomy, right? They're just going to feel super overwhelmed. They're going to throw their guard up, and they're going to give you every objection to just hang up the phone with you. That's the biggest thing that most detailers we see do, is that a lot of detailers think that they know everything. And guess what? You do. But you don't want to know everything when talking to a potential client, because you will lose the sale every single time. Even when I talk to detailers that were my clients that were previous detailers, had their own detail shops, all the jargon nowadays is just completely different. Most people just know it as buffing. And when you say paint correction, they're absolutely completely blown away. They have no clue what it is. They think that paint correction could be filling in rock chips with a touch-up paint. They think paint correction is having something to do with body work. So even explaining that paint correction is just a very high-level term for buffing actually is going to help you win the sale more often than not. The next step is to go into a ceramic coating. What is a ceramic coating? How does it work? And how is it different than what they used to do back in the 1980s? Well, let me explain that today. Going over the presentation portion of a ceramic coating is very simple. Again, like the paint correction process, we don't want to use any detailing jargon, and we want to make it very, very easy for your clients to understand. Explaining that a ceramic coating is like a wax on steroids, except you never have to wax the vehicle again, will get your prospects very interested, get their minds piqued, and also lower their guard. When you can lower their guard on something very interesting, like you never have to wax your vehicle again, is actually going to allow them to lower their guard and listen to what you have to say. Now, this process is very simple. You don't want to get caught up in you've got a 3-year and a 5-year and a 7-year. Asking those rapport-building questions should have already given you that answer, that dominant buying motive. If it's for a car show and they have the money to spend, you want to give them that 7 to 10-year coating. If they're very, very tight on a budget and they just want to keep the truck for 1 year to 2 years, you already have it picked out in your head. You can ask your client, but again, the more options you give a client, the more friction there is when it comes to the actual sale. Let me give you a scenario. Last night, I wanted to go to dinner with you. And when I asked you to go to dinner, I said, we have a few different options. And half the time, it's just a, no, you pick. No, you pick. No, you pick. Well, we could go to Burger King. We could go to McDonald's or White Castle. We could go to Steak and Shake. We could go to Portillo's. We could go to Subway. We could go to Jimmy John's. We could go to Jersey Mike's. We could go get Asian Harbor. We can go get Chinese cuisine. We can go get Korean cuisine. We can go have shrimp. We can go have sushi. I mean, you just pick your poison. We could do a steakhouse. We could also go out and fish and then eat some fish. We can go to all-you-can-eat lobster night. There's just a bunch of different options. I can name a million. You pick. What's going through your head right now? I could have lobster for dinner. Well, are you paying or am I paying? Subway, but I kind of want Jimmy. Okay. Or I could say this. Johnny, we can either have Steak and Shake, we can have steaks, or we can have Subway. Which would you like? 3 options. Very, very simple, yet effective. If I asked you if you wanted Subway or a steak dinner from Ruth's Chris, you're probably going to say that you want the steak dinner, okay? That's not the case for everybody. Some people prefer Subway over a nice juicy steak, but that's okay. That's why you have the 2 to 3 year option and the 5 to 7 year option. Giving your client a million choices is going to give them an absolute overload of information and let them raise their guard. And at the end of the day, you're going to get nowhere with the sale. Okay? When you ask them what their dominant buying motive is and you give them a bunch of reasons why they can get a ceramic coating, then you ask them that there's a bunch of different paint correction options and you give them a bunch of different options there. Then you ask them their ceramic coating options and how much years of protection. It's all just detailing jargon. If they have a 2024 vehicle, it's probably a one-step paint correction or just an enhancement. And see how long they want to keep the vehicle, and you're going to give them that year coating, pick the package for them, and move on. When you start going into all these different types of ceramic coating options and going over the fact that we're going to wax the car, but it's on steroids, but we could do 2 years of wax or we could do a 7-year wax, it's just going to give your clients just this absolute uproar, and their brains are going to be completely fogged up, and then you lost the sale. So what you can do is you can actually just pick the level of coating, pick the year of coating. I recommend 2 options at absolute max, 2 options all the time. And when you're explaining the coating, explain to them that it's silicone dioxide infused into this liquid coating. And once you apply it, it turns to a glass-like structure, and it protects the paint from tar, tree sap, acid rain, harmful UV rays, paint overspray. And you can actually give them a reason and then play on that dominant buying motive of what the ceramic coating is going to do to actually help them. So now that you guys know how to build rapport with your client, figure out why they actually want a coating in the first place, and go through the entire presentation, if you bought this course for one reason and one reason only, it's probably for this video, and that's how to transition to the close. Most people in sales, they can explain the process and build rapport, and they can be best friends with the client. But the minute they get to transitioning to the close, they fumble, they stumble, they fall, and guess what? You're left with somebody that has an objection. They need to speak to the wife, they need to think about it, the price is way too high, they don't see any value, or you don't have what they offer. But maybe none of that's true and you just did not transition properly. So let me explain how to transition. After you've explained the process, you're going to say, yes, Johnny, I understand that was a fire hose of information, but what questions do you have for me? If they say, well, you answered everything and you are absolutely a goddess, then you say, great, that's what I thought. And yeah, I've been doing this for quite some time. Make a little bit of jokes with them, say that you're just really, really good at your job. Once they ask that question, if you answer it, say, what other questions do you have for me? And continue on answering those questions. One question you might get is, well, now that you've been over everything with me, what's the cost? And a very simple answer to that is, we are going to get to that in just a few seconds. But I do want to make sure before I give you the cost that you understand everything we're doing for said cost. That's going to shut them up, and that's going to take you right into, what other questions do you have for me? If you feel as though you have not answered every question for them, such as how long does the process take, how long do you need my car, do you offer rentals, and how long does your coating last, is there any sort of warranty, going over all those questions, you can also address them yourself by saying, oh yeah, I know that you don't have any questions for me, but I forgot to mention to you that our coating is actually put on your Carfax report and warranty for up to 10 years. Explaining that to them in that transition phase is going to make them feel very bubbly, very happy about themselves. And then you're going to wrap that transition phase up. Once they ask all of their questions to you, you're going to go into the package that you selected for them, price anchor it, and go in for the close. So now that you've transitioned from the presentation and now you've finished the transition stage into the close is actually one of the harder parts of the sale, because now you've transitioned over, but how do we get them to say yes? And there's an awkward moment when you give them the price and you just feel like you want to charge them way less so you can just get the sale, but you need to charge what you're worth, and it gets pretty awkward and confusing, and then you're just like, what objection is next, and what are we waiting for? And so one of the biggest things when it comes to the close is price anchoring. A lot of your clients feel like if they're getting a deal, then they're actually going to book, and you don't have to give a deal to price anchor. If you charge retail $2,000, tell them it's $2,500. $2,500 and price anchor them so that if it's $2,500, well, today only it's $2,000. They're going to feel like they got $500 off. Most people know that tactic in sales, but when you're actually in the sale, you don't really think about it as a consumer. So using that's going to be the best of your ability. How to give price. So what you're going to do is you're going to recap on the conversation very simply. Johnny, I know that you really want their protection from the tar and the tree sap and the acidic rain and harmful UV rays and oxidation and all that on your vehicle's paint. It's a brand new vehicle. It's a 2024 F-150. I mean, we have to protect the vehicle. Well, guess what? We're going to do all that. We're going to start off. We're going to do our full prep process. We're going to do our full correction process. That vehicle is going to look like an absolute mirror. And then we're going to put on our 8-year coating. I actually just upgraded you from our 5-year coating to the 8-year coating. And guess what? The retail price on this job is $2,500. Today, I'm going to give it to you for $2,000 out the door. Now, that pause is just, it's an awkward pause. The last person to speak will win the sale. So let's break that down. After you give the price, if you stay silent and they speak, you're the one to speak after, you're going to win. And you're going to win by taking their deposit and getting them booked on the schedule. If the silence is unbearable and they don't say anything, because they're thinking in their head, they're going through all the options. Okay, $500 off. Okay, I want a pay correction. Okay, you just gave me a fire hose of information. Okay. If you say, so how does that sound? They're going to win. What are they going to win? They're going to win by not booking. Sales is a game. If you know how to play the rules, which I'm the rules analyst and I'm also the one giving the rules. If you play by the rules, you'll win. But you have to know which rules to play by, which rules to follow, and which loopholes of the rules in order to win. If your prospect goes and they speak first, then you're going to win. They're going to ask you another follow-up question. Most likely, they're going to ask you a question that you should have asked in that transition stage, but they just thought about it now. Answer it very briefly and keep the silence. Okay, 2,000, so how long are you going to have my vehicle? Damn it. Dang it. I should have answered this already in the transition stage. That's okay. How long are you going to have my vehicle? Oh, yeah, Johnny, we'll have the vehicle for approximately 3 to 4 business days. Done. And then let them think. You definitely want to answer their questions, but in answering their questions, keep it short, keep it concise, and wait until you give the go-ahead. Now, to transition from their silence, when they ask you that question, or they say, let's do it, or they say, okay, well, now that I got the price, I'm going to need to think about it, that's when you're going to handle the objection, or you're going to book them in and take their deposit. You may be wondering, how does this actually sound over the phone, or how does this actually feel when you're in the moment? And I'm going to give you a quick little role play here. So pretend that Johnny's on the phone. He's got a 2024 F-150. I'm going to go in. So Johnny, what you're going to get is our full prep process. It's 17 hours long where we decontaminate the vehicle. You're also going to get included our multi-stage paint correction to make that paint look like a mirror, look like a 2025. And those cards are not even out yet. Also, we're going to do our 5-year coating for you. It's going to protect the paint from X, Y, and Z. And we're also going to include in our whatever benefits you have, our Carfax report, and just hit them with all of these benefits of working with you. We're going to also put the vehicle's coating on their Carfax report. We're going to scan the VIN and scan the mileage. We're also going to give you our VIP club, which is going to give you discounts to all of our washes in the future because your vehicle is now ceramic coating, and yada, yada, yada. Go over every single benefit with the prospect. Then I'm going to say, Johnny, we have a February special. We have a spring special. We have to price anchor. The retail price, what the last client paid over the phone, was $2,500. But for today, we've got our spring special. You're going to get our full coating with everything included out the door for $1,995. Well, Aaron, that sounds like a great deal. But I was just inquiring about information. Johnny, I totally understand that you were just inquiring about information.
I do want to ask you though, does this sound like everything you're looking for? Does this solve your problem of XYZ, their dominant buying motive? Oh yeah, it does actually. I've actually been really thinking about getting this done. I've been shopping around and checking out different prices. Yeah, I totally understand that. I like to shop around too when I'm looking for a service, especially one at this dollar amount. Do you feel as though this fits your budget, or do you think this is a little higher or lower compared to the other quotes you're getting? Well, it's right around my budget, but I really do think that I might want to just think about it and keep shopping around. Well, let me ask you this, John. We have our $2,500 special pricing sale going on. You're getting it for $19.95. Let me ask you this. If you're comfortable, it's a very, very easy, it's $300 deposit. When you pick up the vehicle, you're going to owe $26.95. Let me ask you this. If you can put down that $300 deposit today, I'll knock another $100 off, and we can lock you in. We can pick a date on the calendar and get your vehicle coded. Ah, that sounds like a great idea. So $28.95, Aaron? Yes, sir. $28.95 out the door. $300 deposit. $25.95 when you pick up. Awesome, great. All right, let's do it. And you take the deposit from there. Go from there. You want to handle every single thing that comes across, and you want to make sure that you always have the last word. You never hang up the phone with them. As long as you don't hang up and you continue to block those objections, keep going, keep asking them more questions, keep making sure that they feel comfortable, make sure that whatever they say is completely handled in the previous of the conversation. Right prior, you already answered that. Keep going, just keep going. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. Keep going, answer the questions, keep going. Do not stop, and boom, you'll get the sale. So now, you might be wondering, how do we create good offers? How does a good offer come into place? How do we figure out what's our rock bottom? What's the lowest we can go before there's not even a point in doing the car anymore except for just extra revenue, and there's nothing that's going towards that net profit, because at the end of the day, if we're breaking even, is there even a point in doing it? Probably not. You want to make profit. We're in a business. We want to make money, right? So with that being said, how do we offer build? If I sell my coatings at $1,500, how can I initially start at $1,900? I mean, I don't even think it's worth $1,900, and I'm giving that price out. How do we offer build? Okay, the first things first is you want to figure out your costs on the job. You want to make sure that we can get the rock bottom. If I sell a coating for $19.95 at $2,000, what's my rock bottom? My rock bottom is $1,700. I cannot do a coating for less than $1,700, or I make $0. So from $1,700 to $2,000, I have some wiggle room. But if I want some extra wiggle room, let's get that price anchor in there and let's sell it for $2,500. If they bite at $2,500 because I built that value, I built that rapport with them, then for my rock bottom, I'm making an additional $800. If I sell it for $2,000 because I give them that $500 off spring special, then from $1,700 to $2,000, I make $300. And I can keep going lower and lower and lower until I hit that $1,700. I know at $1,700, that's my rock bottom. So the first thing in offer building is actually figuring out where your offers are and what you can afford to give as a discount. The biggest thing to note with sales is that you actually want to keep your price the same if you can, and not anchor, not price gouge, not price lower, nothing. If you can sell your prospect at the price that you want them to buy at without giving any discounts, it's not only going to make for a more enjoyable experience, but your client's going to give you less headaches, and you're actually going to have a better overall company. The value is in your presentation and your building of rapport and actually fixing the problems that the client never even knew they had. If you can solve the problems that your client did not even know that they had, there's no need for a price anchor or any sort of offer building. However, what I challenge you to do is take your notepad, pause this video, and what I want you to do is write down every single benefit of working with you. One of the benefits of working with us is that we have our Carfax reporting, so we actually get to up the resale value of the vehicle. We have our VIP club. Every wash is 50% off, discounted for the lifetime of the vehicle. Our warranties are transferable. You have an insurance-backed warranty as well. There's 3 warranties with the coating that we offer. All of these different benefits. Our coating beads and sheets water. There's 0 annual maintenance. There's maintenance only every 6 months or once a year as opposed to every 6 months. There's all these different offers. If you cannot pause the video, and write down 8 or more benefits of why you can build value to your client, you need to sit down and rethink that. If you don't have 8 or more of why a client should choose you over your competitor next door, you need to sit down and rethink those. That is going to build a good offer. That's going to build value as to what you're offering the client. It doesn't always have to be a discount, but thinking that they're getting more value than what they're paying you is the key to a successful close. Making sure that your lead feels that they're getting a $3,000 service, but they're only paying $2,500, or they're getting a $3,000 service and only paying $2,000, is going to close as easy as pumpkin pie. One thing I want to touch on is that a discount or a value or offer build does not have to include a dollar figure. You don't have to do a spring sale of $500 off. You can have your price at $2,000 always and add value. In the spring sale, we coat your windshield and your trims and your wheels for free. We're going to throw in an additional interior coating on that new truck. We're going to do PPF. I'll give you the 2 front windows for free if it's a new vehicle, 2023, 2023 4 or older. I'll also throw in a windshield tint for free if you're adding the 2 fronts and you get PPF. There are so many different ways that you can actually click on an offer build or actually building value to your sale that does not have to do with actually decreasing the amount of money. Not always does your value, perceived value of your sale go up when you decrease the value or the actual price of the service they're getting. Most clients find more value in having extra services done and paying the initial quoted price than actually lowering the price because they feel as though you're going to lower your quality. But when you build value and build an offer to where you can actually increase the services rendered and increase what their final product is going to be, their warranty, it's as simple as always offering a 5-year warranty and upgrading it for free to an 8-year warranty. It's that simple. It's that perceived value. And we want to double click on that because you don't always have to decrease the price to actually increase the value. Now that you've given price, you're at the point of the conversation, that sale, where you're going to get those pesky objections. We're going to go over some very common objections and tell you how to overcome them, the best ways to overcome them, and the word track and the tonality used to knock them out of the way and take your deposit, book the coating. The first one being, let me think about it. One of the best things that I like when someone says, let me think about it, is I like to say this. Sir, I totally understand you want to think about it. I like to think about big decisions too. This is a pretty big decision. You're actually protecting your investment. Pretty crazy, huh? Let me ask you this. What do you need to think about? Well, I need to think about the price. Which of the 3 P's do you need to think about, Johnny? Is that going to be the price, my process, or my actual product? Okay, process sounds good. You like my paint correction work and my decontamination and my actual coating. You love that particular brand of coating. Okay, that's my process. My product, you like the actual coating, what's being applied, and my price. Is price the objection? Do you need to think about the cost? Well, no, I got a lot of money. It's just I never make rash decisions. I just want to think about it. Okay, I challenge you to think about a pink elephant. Think about that pink elephant. Let me know when you're done. They say, okay, I'm done. Okay, great. What'd you think about? Well, thought about a pink elephant. Okay. How long did that take you? 1, 2 seconds? Okay, 3, 4. Okay, great. See, thought is instantaneous. Think about that pink elephant took between 1 and 2 seconds. It's as easy as thinking about yes or no to getting a coating on your vehicle. If price is not the objection, product is not the objection in my process, thinking about that pink elephant is going to take you 2 seconds, so is my coating. So is that a yes or a no, Johnny? It's that simple. Once you overcome that, they're going to say another one. Okay, well, I thought about it, and the answer is definitely yes, but it's a yes from me if I need to get a yes from my wife. That's objection number 2. We go down this long road of objection handling. Well, let me talk to the wife. Okay. What happens if that wife says no? Are you still going to do it anyways? Or are you not doing it at all? Because last time I checked, she has to get her nails done for $85 3 times last month. You didn't have a choice but to say yes. Let me ask you this. Is it your vehicle or hers? Whose money is actually being spent on the coating? Go down that rabbit hole with them. Make them emotionally feel as though they're getting played by their wife if they need to ask the wife. 99% of the time, they don't need to ask the wife. Who knows if they even have a wife? Going over that objection, well, what happens if she says no? I think you're probably going to do it anyway, so let's just knock that objection out of the water and let's take a deposit and get you booked in here. Give you that $500 off spring special. If the wife says no, I'll refund that deposit. It takes me about 20 seconds on my end via my app. If she says yes, we got that price locked in. You don't have an increase in $500, and we've already got a date scheduled. It's that simple. Okay. Now that they've thought about it and they've had to ask the wife, well, the price is too high. So that's where we go into common objection handling. Well, the price is too high. Well, we finally found something that is actually true, because now that they don't need to think about it and they don't need to speak to their wife if they have one, we can actually go into the price, and that's too high. What we do is we ask a consequence question. That is how you handle the objection of the price too high. Johnny, I understand that the price is a little high. Can I ask you this? What if we don't protect your vehicle with a ceramic coating? What if the gloss at that car show is not on there from the ceramic coating? You're going to have to continue to wax the vehicle? Are you going to have to hire somebody to wax the vehicle and go over that objection just like that? You can also explain to them, which I like to do in more of the rapport building and the presentation. However, during the objection handling stage, you can go over cost of waxing the vehicle at $200 a time. You have to do a wax job 3 times a year at minimum. Let's just say, for example, they do 3 times, $200. $200 times 3 is $600 a year. You're a 5-year coating. $600 times a 5-year coating is $3,000. In 5 years, they're going to spend $3,000 on waxing, plus all their time to actually get it waxed, or do it themselves and their body fatigue and all that. Or if we just do a lump sum of $2,000 over the course of 5 years, you're actually not only going to save $1,000, but you're also going to have a better product, a better procedure, more protected paint, and you have a warranty. So you handle that price if it's too high. Well, it's just perceived value. If you can perceive it to be not so high, the client is going to buy. If you perceive the value to be low, the client's not going to buy. But if the perceived value is high, the client will buy. Okay, after the price being too high, one other very, very common thing that we do when it comes to price is anchoring it with another part of your life. Most people put a case on their phone. Ask them how much their phone costs. $1,000. They put a case on their phone. Case costs $40. $40 out of 1,000 is 4%. Very, very simple. On a $100,000 vehicle, they're not spending $4,000, which is 4%. They're spending more like $2,000 to $3,000, which is less percent. All you need to do is ask them, hey, if you drop your iPhone and it cracks, you're going to be upset. Okay, if you're driving down the highway and you get a rock chip, are you going to be upset? If you go to that car show and then you have to sit there and wax the vehicle and you get scratches and swirls from constantly having to wax the vehicle, are you going to be upset? And the chance is probably yes, because when you blow it into proportion, $40 is not a lot of money on a $1,000 phone. It's only $40. But neither is $4,000 on a $100,000 investment. Breaking it down so that they can actually see that the price is not as high as it actually seems. Just as a lot of money at once, and I totally get that too. It's a lot of money for me as well at once. And I tell that to the client, but when they get it protected, they actually see the value in spending a little bit more money up front. Now you're probably wondering, Aaron, I've been tackling these objections. I've been muscling my way through objections for the last X years. I'm just sick of it. There has to be a better way of closing a client and not going through these objections. What happens if I told you that there was? That every single day a client comes into our showroom, I don't have any of these objections. The talking to the wife, the thinking about it, the needing some more time, the price is too high. All of these common objections, I don't hear any of them. But how? Well, when I give the price, instead of reactively selling, before I give the price, I proactively sell. By taking your word track, by taking the questioning of your clientele and building value and asking the right questions and giving the right prompts to get the answers that you want to proactively sell your client, will allow them at the end of the call, at the end of the in-person consultation, the end of the text chain, to not give you any objections and not even have to react to the price. The only thing that they'll have to say is yes or no. And 90% of the time, it's a big, fat yes. So if you want that more advanced training, it's all covered in this program. You just have to take some time to note take and watch. In the next videos, we'll go over more advanced training on how to proactively sell. Stop muscling through all of those objections and feel like you're a champ that you can take over the world with your proactive abilities. We're going to go through all the different prompts. We're going to go through all the different word track, the tonality, the speech, and recognizing how you are taking that approach of proactively selling as opposed to reacting and just absolutely getting demolished and hurt every single time a client said, I just need to speak to the wife. Just give me a few days and I'll get back to you. So stay tuned, stick around, and we're going to go how to proactively sell your clients so you never get any of the objections again. It's all included in this course that you guys have, Close More Coatings.